Alex was part of the ground crew sent to investigate unusual energy readings on the planet's surface. Elyria, 7 was classified as uninhabitable, an ice-covered wasteland with temperatures colder than the harshest winters on Earth. Yet the scans from orbit suggested pockets of geothermal activity, brief flickers of warmth beneath the glaciers. Wrapped in a heavy thermal suit, Alex trudged across the crystalline plain, his boots crunching against a sheet of ice that shimmered under Elyria's pale twin moons. His breath fogged inside his helmet, and he kept a cautious grip on his plasma torch. Odyssey Ground Team status report. Came the voice of Commander Reyes through the comm. "Nothing yet," Alex answered, adjusting his visor. "Just ice, snow, and more ice. But the energy spike came from here. It's got to mean something." He paused as a faint light caught his eye, something glowing beneath a jagged ridge of frozen crystal. Cautiously, he approached and scraped away at the frost. His heart skipped. Inside the ice was a figure. At first, Alex thought it was a trick of the light, but as he cleared more, the truth became impossible to deny. A young woman, no, an alien girl, encased in crystallized ice. Her skin shimmered faintly blue, and her features were delicate, almost ethereal. Long silver hair flowed around her like frozen strands of silk. "She's alive," Alex whispered, almost against his will. He tapped his scanner, confirming faint biological signs. "Weak but present." "Repeat that, Morgan," Commander Reyes demanded. "Not a corpse. Not a statue. She's alive in there. Frozen but alive." A pause crackled on the comm. "Secure the site. We'll send backup." But Alex wasn't thinking of orders anymore. He couldn't just leave her encased in that icy tomb. Something in her face, the vulnerability in her half-closed eyes, made him act. He ignited his plasma torch and began carefully melting the surrounding crystal. Minutes stretched into eternity until finally, with a shattering crack, the ice split apart. The alien girl collapsed into his arms, her body cold as stone. Her lips moved faintly, trembling, but no words came out, just a broken whisper. Her skin was icy to the touch, and Alex knew she wouldn't survive long without heat. Against protocol, he did the only thing he could think of. He unclipped his emergency thermal blanket, wrapped it tightly around her, and pulled her close against him. His suit was heated, but it wasn't meant for two. Still, he pressed her against his chest, sharing every ounce of warmth. For hours they sat in the snowdrifts, shivering under the blanket. The girl's breathing steadied, slow but alive. Her head rested against him, fragile, trusting. And as the twin moons dipped below the horizon, Alex realized he wasn't just keeping her alive. He was bound to her now, in ways he couldn't yet understand. The dawn of Elyria. When morning came, Elyria's pale sun cast its light across the frozen plains. Alex stirred awake to find the alien girl's eyes open. They were luminous, reflecting shades of violet and silver, like galaxies hidden in her gaze. She spoke in a language he didn't understand, soft and melodic. Alex shook his head. I don't know what you're saying." The girl studied him, then reached out, touching the emblem stitched onto his uniform. Her fingers traced the insignia of Earth's exploration fleet, and she whispered a single word that his translator managed to catch. "Protector." Before Alex could respond, the ground trembled. Ice fractured in the distance, splitting open as great crystal towers rose from the ground. The girl stood unsteadily, pointing toward them. Her voice grew stronger, insistent, as though summoning something. And then Alex saw them. Figures emerging from the ice. Not hostile, not threatening, but majestic. Dozens, hundreds of beings like her, their bodies encased in crystal shells that cracked open as the morning light touched them. One by one, they awakened, rising from centuries of frozen slumber. "What the hell?" Alex breathed. "An entire civilization." The girl stepped forward, holding the blanket tightly around her shoulders. She looked back at Alex, then gestured for him to follow. Reluctantly, he did. They approached the newly awakened Elyrians, who bowed their heads toward the girl. She seemed important, more than just another survivor. Her people's eyes filled with awe as she raised her hand, her words echoing like song across the icy field. The translator caught fragments. Sunrise, awakening, gratitude. Alex suddenly realized the truth. She hadn't just been a random survivor. She had been the keystone. A princess, perhaps, or a chosen guardian. And by keeping her alive through the night, Alex had saved the entire planet. Rising conflict, the choice. Back on the Odyssey, Commander Reyes was furious. "You disobeyed direct orders, Morgan. You jeopardized the mission by making contact with an unknown life form." "With respect, Commander," Alex countered. "If I hadn't, she and her people would still be frozen. Their civilization would have died with the next century of storms. That's not our responsibility. It is now." The argument spiraled until finally, Reyes relented. A diplomatic channel was opened, with Alex serving as the reluctant bridge. The Elyrians didn't speak human languages, but they spoke through song and crystal resonance. The girl, whose name translated roughly to Lyra, stood beside Alex at every meeting, her presence commanding respect. It became clear that her people had once ruled Elyria, a thriving society powered by the geothermal crystals beneath the ice. But a cataclysmic freeze forced them into stasis, hoping that one day the sun would rise strong enough to awaken them. That day had come, not because of the star, but because of Alex's simple act of compassion. Lyra made it known to her people. The human shared his fire when even the sun could not. "He is our guest, our friend." But not everyone agreed. Some Elyrians feared humans, seeing them as invaders who might strip the planet of its resources. Tensions rose as factions argued, ally with the humans or drive them away. Alex found himself caught in the middle. He hadn't asked to be a hero. He had just wanted to save one girl. But now, the fate of two civilizations teetered on his choices. Climax. The planet's gratitude. One night, as ice storms battered the plains, Alex stood on a cliff overlooking the crystalline city the Elyrians were rebuilding. Lyra joined him, the blanket he had once wrapped her in still draped around her shoulders. She spoke slowly, the translator catching her words. "When frozen, I dreamed. In my dream, the stars sent a protector, a being of warmth. When I awoke, you were there." Alex smiled faintly. "I'm no protector. I'm just a man who didn't want to watch someone die. To us, that is the greatest protector of all." Suddenly, an alarm blared from the Odyssey. A rift had opened in the ice, threatening to swallow the human outpost and much of the Elyrian settlement. Alex and Lyra raced to the site. The ground cracked violently, molten energy surging from deep within the planet. The Elyrians panicked, unsure how to contain the eruption. "Reyes, what's happening?" Alex shouted over the comm. "The geothermal core is destabilizing. The awakening must have triggered it. If it blows, this entire region could collapse."